Hey, welcome, Chris and Kate, the Ludwigs. Can you guys just give us a little update on how you guys are doing right now?
Good, other than this nasty COVID-19 business shutting down the jobs. Well, other than that, before that, we were doing great.
Now, Kate, do you want to tell people when you graduated and what you did after high school and maybe what you're currently doing?
Yep, I graduated in 2010. In June, I started beauty school, cosmetology at Regency Beauty Institute, graduated that next May, and I've been doing hair for the past 9 years in Alexandria. So,
Okay. And you've been shut down, your business has been shut down, correct? So you haven't been seeing
yeah,
clients in that time?
nope, I haven't been with clients since March 15th, I think.
Okay. Now I was going to save this question for later, but since we're talking about this, I'm going to ask it right now. With your job, what's your biggest fear? Is it that your clients are going to cut their bangs off, or they're going to get a really bad dye job from some stuff they pick up online or something? What's your biggest fear with that?
I would say the box colors. Hopefully nobody does that because that's just going to be, we're not going to have the time to fix it if it's really bad. Like haircuts, it is what it is. I mean, you guys have to wear them around. I can make it look better, but you have to rock them out. You're not seeing anybody right now, but if you
Yeah.
want to try to cut your hair, have at it. I can fix that a lot easier than I can.
Yeah, I think with like the bang things, I'm thinking of somebody who's going to think, I'm just going to trim up a little bit, and they go higher and higher and higher. Pretty soon they're like 2 inch long bangs, and then they come in with a picture of like some celebrity and say, "Can you fix my hair to make it look like this?" Is that
Yeah, I think people are realizing that there's a reason we have to go to school. Like it's not as easy as it looks. Like there is a reason I have a job and that I have to stay educated.
yeah.
So
Speaking from experience, my wife has tried to like trim my hair a little bit here and there, and I'm in need of a haircut too, by the way. Not that you can do it right now, but or my trim my boys' hair, and it's always a disaster because it doesn't
it's
go
a
the
lot
way we.
harder than it looks. It doesn't blend. You can get it good, but then to try to get this to blend into that,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
I
thinking
was just
just
gonna do two all over.
yeah, either grow it out right now, go like to a man bun, or maybe to shave it all off. I'm not sure which one would work better for me. I'm kind of in between that. Anyways, Chris, kind of switching gears here. What did you graduate, and what have you been up to since college? I mean, since high school, I mean.
Yeah, so graduated in 2010 and then went to Concordia College for 3.5 years. I graduated a little early with exercise science degree. And then right out of college, got a job down in Glenwood in the hospital in their fitness center. I was there for almost 3 years and then got the director of sports performance here in Alec at Noonan Sports Specialist. So I've been the director of sports performance there ever since. So what is that, 4 years? Something like that? No, 3 years?
Yeah, and Chris, many of the kids. Okay, I'm getting feedback here. Many of the kids might recognize you as a football coach. You've been coaching for how many years now with Osagas?
So yeah, going away. Well, yeah, I was on and off there for a couple of years, both with football and track. And then I've been pretty much ever since then. I volunteered for a year, and then was able to help out a little bit higher capacity the last 2 years.
You took off your first year fresh out of college. You took off a year of football. Then you were coaching right away,
Yeah.
and then like 2 years ago you were off. I think.
Yeah.
So quite a few years actually.
Yeah, that's great, and it's fun to see you coach. As a fan on the sidelines, kind of seeing you interact with the kids is a lot of fun. And when you were coaching track, I always enjoyed watching you with your intensity you brought to the practices and to competitions was fun. Just like when you're an athlete. Okay, so I'm gonna start with some questions going back to high school now. Kate, I'll start with you. What was your best memory from high school track and field?
Honestly, just like the bonds you really get with everybody. Like I know I was in 4x2, give or take, but I was pretty much always in 4x1, and it's just like the bond you get with those girls. It's just kind of something that you just always stick with and always remember. Like if we come back in old pictures, it's like, oh gosh, I remember that. You get on the track and like, oh, I miss this, I miss the relays and stuff. So
Yeah, I think with you, Kate, I remember like seeing some pictures, and I still look through old pictures I have once in a while. and you at the Prairie Conference meet, and it was a really nice day, sunny. But I think you were either giving a handoff or getting a handoff in the 4x2 with Alexa Hoffarth. And she was a seventh grader, I believe. And so you're, I think, a junior or a senior. So you're,
I think that was senior year.
Yeah, senior year. And Alexa, she's probably maybe at that point, like 5'1", and she looks like a third grader, honestly. So that's one of the cool things about track, I think, is that you get to spend time and with kids that are outside your own normal like circle of friends and your own age range, especially the girls, like you had. And you want to talk about that, Kate, as far as like how that might have influenced you, or how that's kind of different compared to other sports that you were in?
Well, I mean, I started varsity 7th grade, so I had a lot of the older girls that really took me under their wing. So gosh, I can't remember how many. I just remember I was always kind of with like Jamie and Rachel Grenman and Kelsey Larson. They were always like right there in track with me. Do I need anything? Just always supportive, doing all of that. I think I remember those girls the most. But I was also in basketball with them too.
Right.
So
I think your sister-in-law might have been on a few of those relays with you too, right?
Yes, but Carrie never talked. Now we talk, but Carrie was so quiet.
Right.
With business.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, what was your favorite memory of being in track and field?
Conference meet 09 when we finally won conference.
Yeah.
That was a pretty darn cool thing when they finally announced our names and we got to run out on the track and get that trophy.
Yeah.
It was a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, you think of like that we've had a good string of success recently. And I think a lot of our current athletes don't really realize what it was like when you were there. We had some good teams before that too, and we were just really close and never got it. Like when you were probably, I'm just gonna throw numbers out here, maybe 8th or 9th grade, we came really close within a few points. What grade were you in when Jacob Grunman and Nick Peterson were seniors? Were you probably like an 8th grader?
We were in 8th grade when they were seniors.
Remember that meet? How that was cold and rainy and were you in any of the varsity relays at all that year? Do you remember?
4x2.
Yeah, that was a tough one too, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. You want to tell the story about that?
So we ended up winning the relay, but I don't remember what I say was.
He didn't have his uniform on. He had his warm up on yet, so you guys got disqualified.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, we won that one by a pretty decent margin too, if I remember
Right.
right. But it was, I don't even remember because I was on the other side of the track when it happened. All of a sudden, I see him coming around without his jersey on. It was like, that's probably a problem.
Right.
And I want to say we would have won the meet.
We ended up
one thing, but.
Right. So that one there, we ended up losing the meet by just like 1 or 2 points, and that would have been enough to win it. And one of the things with that is that nobody felt worse than Jacob, but at the same time we realized that we'd be nowhere where we could be close to that without him on the team.
Right.
So it was like, it was a tough one. It was a tough one for him. I felt worse for him than I did for the rest of the team. But I think nobody pointed fingers, nobody blamed anybody else. And that's kind of the cool thing to a sports in general is that you take it as a team. I mean, the good things happen as a team and the bad things happen as a team. And even though I can guarantee those guys probably wanted to win that one and probably still today probably wanted that, but they probably celebrated with you when you won in 2009, right? That's the year you guys won it the first time. And that was a lot of fun. You guys had some good athletes that year. And I can remember that like it was yesterday. And, sometimes those wins that are kind of hard fought are more important than the ones that come easy. Okay. Chris, with you were in the 4x1, right? Okay. So both you were in the relays. You had some hamstring issues. Was it your junior year or senior year? Both probably.
Well, every year, but senior year was I pulled my hammy in the conference meet, and then I was pretty much, for lack of a better term, done after that.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna kind of set the stage here. I want you to fill in anything that I'm missing or have wrong. So the conference meet, this is the Open 100, right? The first race for you during the day, which is the third track event. So it'd be the 4x8, the 110 hurdles, and then the Open 100. and you could have won this thing hands down, in my opinion, anyways. I mean, our best competition was coming from our own athletes for the most part. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, Jared would have been the biggest competition that year.
Yeah. So you came out and probably about 40 meters in, came up, and I could tell it was a hamstring, but you finished the race, and I think you might even beat somebody in your heat, and it didn't look pretty, but it was
Yeah.
it couldn't have felt good either. But you were probably going to run. I'm just going from memory now. I think you're new to the shot put, which you maybe already did by that point, right? Did the shot put?
Yep.
Okay.
We had finished shot put by then.
So
yep.
you already placed in that, probably top 3, I think, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, then you probably would have been one of the top, probably the top guy going in for the 200. I'm thinking you were maybe the 4x1 also, right?
Yeah, it was either 4x1 or 4x2 that year.
So you didn't run those. We still ended up winning because we had a lot of talent in other spots that year to kind of fill in some different gaps. Correct? We still won, but we got through subsections, I believe, without you on the track. I think. Then in sections, we put you on the backstretch as like a last hope type thing, last chance to compete as a senior, and you got through that race. Remember that? How that, even though it wasn't probably the way you wanted to finish your career as a high school athlete, because that was your last thing you did that's after football and wrestling you're done. That was it for you. What did it mean for you to get back out there, even though you didn't run the way you probably could have or wanted to?
It was really cool to be a part of the relay and go out that way versus just saying, okay, well, I'm going to run the open 100 and whatever happens, happens. Because it was nice to know that, okay, even if I don't run my best race, guys around me are going to step up. Because I just remember Cole, he started that race and he said, well, I'm going to run it 10 times faster just because I know you might not be running this as fast as you can. And sure enough, he dang near ran me over when he tried to hand off. But it was really nice to know, like, hey, I don't have to run my perfect race and we can still do pretty darn well.
Now, who'd you hand it off to then?
I want to say, I know Jared anchored. I can't remember who the third leg was. It was either.
Could have been Nikolai. Yeah.
It could have been Nikolai, or
I think it was Nikolai.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now who it was.
A long time ago.
No, who'd you have in the corner your junior year? I can't remember who was that somebody else who had the relay your junior. We had a really good team that junior year. I thought we maybe had a chance of getting to state possibly. We were really close.
Yeah. I know Cody ran the 4x2 with us.
Cody Maston.
Yeah,
I don't think he ran 4x1 that year.
I don't think so. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I'm not sure. But those are some good relays back then. For me, I have a special spot in my heart for relays. It's like it's like team stuff's best, then it's relays, and then everything else is kind of after that. Yeah. But for the running stuff, anyways. Okay. So Chris, I already talked to Kate about your hairdressing questions about your job. So Chris, I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions about your job. So you do a lot of training for various. Is it mostly like student athletes, or is it people of all ages? Tell me about your job a little bit. What you do.
Yeah. So during the school year, I would say I'm primarily general population training. Say small group style, personal small group style, and then we'll do an after school athlete program. During the school year, that's about the only chance we have. And then during the summer, I'm primarily 100% athlete, where we run a summer athlete program, and that's all I do. 40 hours a week is train athletes.
Okay. All right. So if you had to pick one exercise or one, I'm getting some weird feedback there. Let's try this again. If you had to pick one exercise or one like lift that you think is the most important for a sprinter, let's say, because that's kind of what you were. That also did some throwing. What would you say the most important pattern of movement to learn in the weight room?
I'm going to throw some nuance on it, but the squat.
Okay.
Just for the reason, yes, it's probably the best overall leg strengthening exercise you can do. It really teaches you to push, but you can also add tempo to it. You can go fast on the way up. You can go pause at the bottom. You can go slow on the way down to really help emphasize whatever you're trying to emphasize. If it's force production, if it's controlling, if it's ground force reaction. Overall, I would say the squat in some form or fashion is probably your best bet.
Okay, good answer, by the way. Okay, so here's my next question, Chris. One of my reasons I'm interviewing you is to kind of trick you into giving us some good training advice while we're doing this. So you're not getting paid for this now, so don't give away all your secrets. But if you had to give like your best training advice to athletes that are in quarantine, that have limited access to equipment, what would you tell them to do?
Best bet is basically, it's going to be power development. It's going to be force production. Because when you think about it, like, yes, getting stronger is really important because you're able to create more force. But at the end of the day, you're not squatting a barbell 100 meters down the track and racing that way. So you just need to get good at, racing, creating force into the ground. So jumping, whether it's double leg or single leg, is going to be really important. And just sprinting in general, in order to just create that force, because that's a key to being an athlete is being able to create force in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's kind of overlooked sometimes is that sprinting makes you faster. I mean, like you have to run fast to be fast, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a huge thing, and people don't understand. It's like sometimes that's all we'll do for extended periods of time, weeks on end, is just sprint really fast, and people are like, well, where's the sexiness in that? It's you practice at. I mean, you get good at what you practice a lot.
Right. Okay, Kate, this is going to you now. I want you to talk about. I think I'm not 100%, but I think you guys are the only former athletes that are married. Okay, so so the question comes to you, to Kate. How did you guys meet? And what was it like dating during track season? And go from there. Okay. All right. Tell us how you met. I know you guys met. You guys went to school together forever, but when you started dating, was that during sports at all?
Yeah, I was gonna say we met in fourth grade. You moved. I think seventh grade is like, I don't know why. I think when we became best friends, then also kind of started talking. And senior year when we officially started dating and stuck with it, because we were dating when we were 16 too. But senior year, it was after wrestling. So actually it was in between sports. So hey, look at that, perfect timing. We didn't have any distractions at that point.
Right.
So
that could be a good recruiting tool for me too, right? I could maybe recruit people by, hey, look at this. This is like a match.com. You can come off a track. You can find your potential soulmate here possibly, right, Kate?
I remember walking down the hallway and I think we just started dating. We were holding hands and you stopped us and you go, "No, what is this? This better not like affect track." And we're like, "No, it's not going to affect track. We're fine." And I think we pretty much were on your side. I was on my side. That's just how we didn't follow each other to college. We kind of did our own thing. So.
Right. Okay. All right. Now, might get a little awkward here, but I'm going to ask you guys some questions now. I'm going to go back and forth. And so, Kate, between you or Chris, who has better block starts coming out of the blocks in the sprint? So this is for Kate now. You have to ask that.
Chris, definitely.
Okay. Chris, this is for you now. During sports, who's more focused, you or your wife? Who was more focused in sports?
Well, I'll be honest, I couldn't speak for Kate because I was just in sport. I'm just here. Yeah. So I'll definitely claim me for that reason.
I'd say you. I get in my head.
Yeah, I would say I'd probably agree with you on that, Chris. I think you were one of the more focused athletes I've ever worked with. You probably had no idea what Kate was doing the entire time you were at practice or at meets.
Yeah.
Okay, now Kate, this is for you now. If you and Chris both were not working out, I know that's his job, so he's working all the time. So if you both were not working out, just your natural strength, which one of you is stronger naturally? Now, obviously, he's a man, you're a woman, but for your gender, which one of you is stronger naturally? Be honest now.
I'm going to say me. I'm going to say I am. I have the Didier blood in me. I'm naturally a little stronger.
Right. Okay. Chris, now you might not know this because you're probably focused more on yourself, but who has better running form, you or Kate?
Well, I got this awkward right arm thing that I'm constantly reminded of all the time because apparently our kids inherited that as well.
Abby runs like that. It's hilarious.
And from what I remember, Kate always had pretty good sprint form.
So you're going with your wife then in that one. Okay, good. That's a good call. Now you have to be kind of a politician on these answers too to make sure you're not getting in trouble after we're done with this answer. Okay. And Kate, last question here for you. Who had better handoffs, you or Chris? You think?
Oh, I don't remember any of your handoffs. I'll take that one because we had some pretty solid handoffs, and I had the same girls for so long that we had a pretty solid handoff. I think for our 4x1. So
okay.
I think you guys ran each other over a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, you two, I appreciate the time you spent with us today. I know you're dealing with a lot of stuff. Both of you haven't been working your normal jobs anyways. So obviously you have 2 young kids at home, so that's a lot of work. And you have some home issues right now, the way it sounds, that you're dealing with. We won't get into that on air, but you guys stay safe and stay sane. Hopefully you're both back to work shortly, and you're a great resource, both of you, to have in our community.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording and we'll maybe talk a little bit off the air, okay?
Sounds good.